We're also starting the New York Open for Business campaign, which is a multi-platform campaign, but it is about changing the perception of this state, which is now a false perception, but New York had a reputation as being anti-business, that we were not business-friendly. And the truth is, I believe there was a certain New York arrogance for a number of years, that we took business for granted. And businesses were here, and businesses were going to stay. Where else were they going to go? Well, what we learned the hard way was that businesses are mobile, and people are mobile. And if you create an environment that is hostile, they will leave. And we did learn it the hard way because we saw them leave. Well, we learned our lesson, and this state is singing a different tune, and we want that tune to resonate through the New York is Open for Business campaign to change that reputation. And part of what the campaign is about is to instill confidence, instill investor confidence. This is the state to invest in. This is the state to buy a home in. This is the state to start a business in. Consumer confidence, spend your money here. And citizen confidence. This is the state to start a family. This is the state to start a life. Don't get on a plane and leave this state and think you're going to find a better future anywhere else, because you're not. Because the best is here in New York, and I'm tired of watching young people get on planes, especially in upstate New York, and thinking they have to find their future somewhere else when their future is right here in New York. Second thing the state can do on pro-business environment is to invest in higher education, to develop a skilled workforce and develop those partnerships, and that's just what we're doing with higher ed all across the state, and especially our partner SUNY. The second thing the state can do is to incentivize regional development. What is the goal? Regional, sustainable public-private sector partnerships that build on assets, forge strategic alliances with measurable goals that create jobs. That is a mouthful, isn't it? That is also your mission. Regional, sustainable, public-private sector partnerships, building on assets, forging strategic alliances with measurable goals that create jobs. That's what it's all about. One paragraph, that's the goal of the state, that's your personal goal, that's the goal of your regional alliances. Now, there are two reasons to go through this process. Two reasons to do what you're doing with all the meetings and all the time and all the paper. First reason is you can win state money. It's about love or money. It was Nassau started the claps, by the way. You are in a competition for state resources, and that's one of the reasons that you are doing this. We understand that. The second reason, however, is that you had to do this anyway. And this is an important point. This is sort of like saying, eat right and exercise. And we're going to have a marathon. And if you want to compete in the marathon, you have to eat right and exercise. You also have to eat right and exercise if you want to live a long life. So we're having a marathon, and there's a competition, and we're going to make a reward. And that was the incentive to start this. But this had to be done anyway. You need regional strategies. You need public-private sector partnerships. You need to get government to work with the private sector. You need to get levels of government to work among themselves. A county is not one fiefdom. A city is not a different fiefdom. We have to make partnerships and make alliances. We need the cooperation. This is something that had to be done anyway. To the extent our process incentivizes, all the better. But don't forget that this is a necessary and an ongoing process that we're going to have to go through. And the third thing the state can do, after changing the environment, after incentivizing regional development, is they can consummate what we call big deals. That's the technical expression we use here in state government because we're very technical. Big deals. Well, we are going to announce today a really, really big deal. You have a group on the stage today led by Intel and IBM that is setting out on an exciting mission to develop the next generation of computer chip, knowing whoever generates and develops the next computer chip wins the game, and develop a wafer that is 450 millimeters. This is going to happen, my friends, in the state of New York. This group is going to invest $4.4 billion in R&D in this venture. It's going to be matched. It is going to be matched with a state investment of $400 million. It is going to create or retain 6,900 jobs across upstate New York. The same elements that came into play on this deal are the same elements that you're working through on the regional councils. Build on the higher education partnerships. That is exactly what this is about. This is a partnership with the SUNY system statewide. Develop benchmarks and safeguards. Make sure if you're investing taxpayer money that it's going where it's supposed to go and it's going to the goal that it's supposed to go to. In this transaction, the state doesn't fund business. The state funds SUNY if and only if and as long as the jobs are actually going to be created. So we make sure that we have safeguards built into the transaction. This is also going to be the smallest state subsidy per job created. So it's a very good transaction for the taxpayers of the state. The goal is to create good jobs. On this transaction, the average is $100,000 salary per job. Build on the assets. New York State has a significant asset in development in nanotech. We've invested over $4 billion, the first investment going back to 1993, developing into what at that time was a budding nanotech industry. So we're building on the state's asset and the state's strength, and it is regional in nature. Now, it is a really big region, but it is an exciting region. This is now spreading beyond just the Capital District and Albany, across across the state. It's Utica, it's Rochester, it's Canandaigua, down as far as East Fishkill and Yorktown Heights. Total of 6,900 jobs. Isn't that great? Our partners, as you heard, are from the business community: Intel, IBM, Taiwan Semiconductor, Global Foundry, Samsung. From government, the Senate has been very helpful in this, and Speaker Silver himself has taken a leadership role in this project for many, many years. And the SUNY system and Chancellor Zimfer has been amazingly energetic and flexible in making this happen. This is a big deal, and a really, really big deal in our parlance. And I think it's important to remember as we start this conference, and a better affirmation of our potential you could not have. These companies could have gone anywhere on the globe. Anywhere on the globe. They're everywhere. Intel, IBM, they're in every country. And this was a major investment. $4.4 billion is a lot of money. Even for them, it's a lot of money. And they could have invested that money anywhere. They're investing right here in New York. And you can hear from Brookings the conversations about global competitiveness in the global marketplace. We won a very important competition globally. And remember why we won it. At its essence, it's this simple. Because we are New York. That's why we won it. And they went out and they looked all across the globe And they couldn't find any spot on the globe better to locate their business than this state, this great state of New York. And they are smart. And they know something. And they looked at this state, and they studied this state, and they know how strong we are, and they know our assets, and they know that we have everything here to be not only the national, but an international leader in economic development. We have the best higher education system you could find. We have the best workforce that you could find. We have the best history in the demography. We have everything. We have the greatest cities on the planet, and we have the most beautiful natural attributes on the planet. We have everything right here. The one thing we haven't had is a government that is as good as the people of this state. And that's what we're going to be changing here in Albany, and that's what we're going to be partnering to change all across this state. We're going to unleash the business community. We are going to unleash the engine of economic development in every corner of this state. And that is your mission, to take this significant abundance of assets and develop them in your community by forming partnerships that make this state even stronger. This is our home. This is where we were born. This is where we chose to live. This is where we were raised. And this is all about making sure we leave a home for our children that is stronger, smarter, sweeter than the home that we had. And their home is the great state of New York. Thank you for being part of this today.